And we're live to talk about the episode in the title, which is Jeff.
Title is Jeff? I didn't know that.
No. Sorry. I meant we're here to talk about the title. We're here to talk about the episode in the title, which is Jeff, because sometimes you like to say the title out.
Oh, but I don't even remember what it was.
Oh, okay. STARDRIVE. Marvelous.
Yeah, that's not a very good title.
It's only the interesting ones.
Right. Okay.
It's cool to say. That doesn't.
Not that cool.
It should have been called Space, because of how many times they said space.
It's called Space Rats.
Space cheese.
Name.
Space rats can't find the space cheese in space time.
Right. So here's the synopsis.
Space synopsis.
Yep. Scorpio is damaged while attempting to use an asteroid as cover to enter the Altern system and obtain calcium ore for fuel. While making repairs, the crew witnessed the destruction of 3 Federation pursuit ships by a small craft moving at an impossible speed, which Aurak interprets as meaning that the ship has been fitted with a new space drive system, the STARDRIVE. This was being developed by the head of the Federation Space Drive Research Center, Dr. Plaxton, who is presumably now with the ship's owner, one of a group of speed-obsessed psychopaths known as Space Rats. The crew travel to the Space Rats base on Casper. Avon sends Villa and Dana down first, intending for them to be captured as a distraction while he, Tarrant, and Sulin break in elsewhere. The crew steal...
Dark side this episode.
Pardon?
That he was really going dark side this episode. He was
yes.
Dark side options.
The crew steal the drive and persuade Dr. Plaxton, who is happy with the work the Space Rats are forcing her to do, to go with them. Sorry, who is unhappy with the work the Space Rats are forcing her to do, to go with them. They escape the Space Rats and take off in Scorpio, but find themselves under attack by pursuit ships. Dr. Plaxton fits the ship with the star drive, allowing it to evade the attackers, but is killed when Avon activates the star drive prematurely. Well, not prematurely, because he had to activate it, because otherwise it would be hit by the space bolt.
Yeah,
So,
drive, she wouldn't be hit by the space bolt.
So she's dead anyway.
Fighter pilots, after escaping from the space rats,
It was only a space bream.
on their space planet.
Yeah, the book's interesting because it mentioned you know how Dr. Plaxton has her assistant there. She never said, "Oh, take me and my assistant." She just forgets about her assistant.
Yeah. Yeah, true, man.
Right, no. So, what are your thoughts, you two?
One person. It was easier to off one person with Avon's thing than it was to off 2 people.
In fact, we'll maybe start with Morgan. You were talking about the dark side episode.
Morgan, if you had to sum up this episode in one word, what
No, I
would
don't.
it, what
I
would
don't
it be?
think this episode was trash.
Well, you don't.
Ooh.
That's amazing.
It was dumb.
I thought it was trash.
Didn't make any sense. The bad guys were trash. The space rats. The space rats were trash. But there was a lot of happening.
Thought it
this
was
episode.
space trash.
There's a lot of things happening this episode, so I wasn't completely bored. But to be honest, I wasn't really paying
You're
much
right.
attention.
There was lots of different wandering around in the
Exactly.
wilderness.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying much
Staring at
attention because
things.
it wasn't actually interesting, but there was a lot of things happening.
I noticed, I had to say I think it'd be a lot of fun to have been the ones making the costumes in this episode.
Yes.
We've actually had like a period of time where they were a little understated with the costumes, but this brought back
The garbage
some memories of the earlier really crazy costumes they had.
Yes, that was the thing. I mean, these costume designers became totally self-indulgent. If I was... Pardon?
I said space self-indulgent.
Yes, maybe, yes. And I would, if I was producer, I would have been like George Lucas, where you see him in these like documentaries where he puts a stamp of approval. Who put the stamp of approval on those costumes?
The juicer?
Oh, producer. Sorry, producer.
Oh, okay.
Space producer.
Although I have got a slight speech impediment, so maybe it did come out as the juicer.
Is a space speech impediment?
Because as Jeff,
you can tell he's got nothing to say about this episode.
Just now, I got a message notification of Ben saying I'm back. He sent it like 20 minutes ago or whatever.
Wow. Okay, so would you basically call it dumb but dark?
No.
Oh no, I believe the phrase I used was space trash.
Right.
It wasn't dark. He did choose dark side options, but that's not, it wasn't really
It
that
had
dark,
some
though.
funny parts though, so that was. It wasn't like
For the most part, it was like, oh hey, he's actually making some sense.
they
But
broke.
first, he had to mess up. I think that's what it was. He like messed up, and then he was like, oh, well, I have to like really crack down to make sure I do everything precisely.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm yawning so much. But I had to go back to work today, so I'm tired. Avon, yeah, he was like less Kirkish in this episode.
Right.
He wasn't just like mugging for the camera. He actually had, things to say. I mean, he did spend some time just kind of wandering around in the rocks, but so did the others. So they definitely had that, filler feeling to that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think they set the record for most times saying space in one episode, and I think also broke the record. I don't know if it's really a record, but they surpassed that conversation between Servalan and the like psycho guy back in whatever that episode was, as being like the most annoyingly boring conversation between the Doctor and the leader of the Space Freaks or whatever.
No, they didn't top it.
I mean, it was like, well, it was topped in terms of boredom level. It wasn't as creepy as that other one, like, because they didn't really seem like they were flirting with each other, except when the dude kissed her for some reason, which was why that was even weirder. Because like the other one, it wouldn't have been surprising if they did that if they had actually been in the same place.
It'd still be garbage, but
Right, but it would have fit. Whereas this, it was like this conversation is terrible, and then it's just like, oh, that happens, and it's like, this just got even worse.
yeah,
But it just, in terms of the level of my lack of caring about either of those people or what they were doing or talking about, like, it was completely, utterly devoid of interest.
this episode is not devoid of points to criticize. Because there's so many times in which something is shown, especially not even just things happening or decisions made by the characters, like in a lot of episodes. This episode has a lot of different items that they use that are utterly ridiculous. Like, I first, in the commentary there, which you might randomly post on YouTube, I said, because they were going through a wall to get to the room with the STARDRIVE, the space STARDRIVE, and so I was like, oh, I guess they have some breaching charges then. No, Parent just has another laser gun that shoots a blue laser, and very, very slowly, noisily, and with a lot of smoke, makes a hole in the wall, which the space rat captain, Scrub, does not notice because he's deaf.
But also, if you're talking about that, yeah, but you could say that the noise made by the gun is just the same as the incidental music, because the characters can't hear the incidental music either.
I guess.
Wow, like, that's like so deep, man. I think they can hear the music. It's just being piped in through the walls. I mean, that would make more sense. Space sense.
So at least now, so it's taken 3. So now, over the first episode, the second episode, and this episode, we've now finally got a ship that's up to their requirements. They've now got a really quick ship. They've got a teleport, and they've got a ship with a computer.
So it'd be a perfect time for it to blow up in the next episode.
Immediately crash into another asteroid. That was kind of dumb.
Sulin did look quite lovely this week.
Right then. So,
Ship crashes into an asteroid. In case that was not in the synopsis, they crashed into an asteroid. So their ship is badly damaged. A bunch of stuff exploded, right? Whatever they call, whatever the scrub. They're all standing around. A bunch of explosions happen. Yet the only thing that they fixed was one hole in the wall with a magical fixaroo ray, and then they like shoved something in something else in some drive, some space drive, some more space. They put a space plug in the space hole, but they didn't fix anything else, and yet this ship is working in top condition. Except for the fact that they don't have a space drive, so they need more space drive. So they went in space to get their space drive. When they got their space drive, he didn't immediately put it in like, aha, this would be great. Now we can fix our ship. That's great. No, he first wanted to lift away from the planet. I guess get away from the space rats with their tricycles and
Space tricycles.
space tricycles. And yeah, and then he was immediately on set by 3 Federation, the exact same image of 3 Federation spaceships.
They were the same ones.
Animated just as poorly as the first ones.
They were not really space destroyed the first time. They were just space teleported to a new space
Only
position.
one of them actually blew up. Like there was an explosion that like covered the screen, but only one actually exploded. But they acted like, oh, they all spontaneously combusted, but that's not what happened. They just made that up. Speaking of making things up, like the video, they took a segment of time. I guess they just really wanted to drag it out. They didn't have enough to fill the time. They wanted to drag out how long they were staring at the same video. Because
I was actually surprised that went as fast as it did. Once you said that, I figured we were going to have like whole 15 minutes devoted to people staring at the screen.
then they just added the thing that they missed. They missed because it wasn't there. They added it afterwards when they found it.
Well, the point was that they looked at every frame, and it was going so fast that it didn't appear in.
No, it didn't exist.
So they couldn't see it before.
That was made up.
Because it wasn't slow enough.
That was dumb. No, you're giving them credit.
No, it's just like
Some
how
sort of
on 9/11, when you slow down the footage of the plane hitting the tower, and you realize that it teleported away at the last second in some other dimension, and then somebody set off a charge inside the building instead. You have to slow it all the way down to the frame by frame before you can tell that the media.
well, the only weird thing about 9/11 was about Building 7.
The media conspiracy, was exposed by that video once they, slowed it down. I'm just kidding, people in the audience. If you're listening to this, I'm not one of those crazy 9/11 conspiracy guys.
He's just crazy.
In fact, it actually kind of offends me. But I'm taking the Mickey, as Ben would say.
Yeah.
In case you couldn't tell, the fact that we're not even talking about the episode anymore, this episode was boring.
Well,
Space boring.
So,
I wasn't really.
well, this will come to the rescue of this review, because without this book, this review, not so good. So,
Is that what you're doing, Ben?
I don't think he is. He's space hating.
I'm gonna show you the guide entry is quite good in the maximum power guide entry for this. So really, I should build it up. Actually, it's rubbish.
I hope it's space is.
Hopefully this isn't space trash. So, and Jeff,
I hope it's space isn't.
hopefully can do us the favor of reading it out when I
read it in instead.
Oh, any way you like, as long as it's
I'm going to space read it. That's what I'm going to do.
Now, I've not highlighted who the fake one is. Now, I've left that for you to do.
Is it Space Scum, or is that really one of the characters?
I don't know. I'll have a look.
Because if so, that's the best character name they've ever had on this show.
Let's have a look. Let's see if Paul Elliott is listed.
Yeah, they just like Sulin so much that they used her for you just described the story, but it should have been Avon saying this will take about an hour.
What they put is.
They put her saying, "So you've let Villa and Dana walk into a trap."
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That was just one trashy part of the episode. That was dumb.
Scorpio. I don't know if they misspelled Scorpio on purpose or not, but because you can't tell with this book. You witness 3 Federation ships apparently self-destruct. Dooba-dooba-doo. It's a nasty infestation of space rats on space choppers in space. Dr. Plaxton is being used by the space rats to create a new super fast photonic STARDRIVE. Avon nixed it and killed her. Yeah, I asked the same thing about why didn't they bring Aurak. Like, too bad we didn't bring Aurak. I'm like, yeah, why? Well, I mean, you could have said something like he had to recharge and something, or he was downloading information about space, something or other. I mean,
And when they did have him, they just didn't ask him directly what the information they're looking for. They had to look at the video some more. Everyone was like, "Oh well, he's not telling us." Usually he goes, "Tell me anyway, you stupid box," but he didn't. Because again, they just want to draw out some more time.
look at that part. This part was funny. Federation interceptor design has changed back to 3 light bulbs. Dana insists the interceptors aren't on an interception course. Not interceptors, then, are they? Space interceptors.
Yeah, so the interceptors were the models' designs obviously were changed back to 3 pictures of interceptors.
Message from Captain of Interceptor 1 to Interceptors 2 and 3. Okay, boys, keep close formation at all times. Maneuver as if we're being waved about on the end of the same stick.
Because they are. There was one picture of 3 interceptors just moved around the screen like they were flying.
Sulin looks particularly lovely when she's bored. According to production documents, Sulin's chair was the luckiest chair on the set. Three-wheeled motorbikes aren't very futuristic. Did Day of the Daleks teach us nothing?
Them tricycles, though.
I don't know who Barbara Shelley is, so that...
Oh, the actress playing Dr. Plaxton.
Okay. Judging by his exaggerated poses, body movements, and facial reactions, his previous job was sawing women in half and making tigers disappear in Las Vegas. Next.
I thought this bit was great. About he appears to have styled his face paint on John Pertwee's first title sequence. I should have taken a grab of that.
STARDRIVE is an anagram of Rev TARDIS, or revised TARDIS, if you will. Sulin looks lovely in a quarry. This may explain Terrence' great pains to ensure she goes first when climbing up the rock face.
Yeah, Damien Thomas probably played the head guy, head of the Space Rats.
Space leader of the Space Rats.
Yeah. Right, now this follows on the next page, this sentence about and it's a little bit of a callback to a description, about the sofas there, and then the next one, it says, you remember how we said who made, no, don't worry, we probably made that bit up.
Sulin kills 4 space rats in less than 30 seconds. She's so dreamy. Yeah, I mean, she definitely, in that one sequence, proved 87% more confident than all the rest of the people on the show.
That's why I wasn't exactly excited that she joined the crew. Nobody really cares about them.
Well, better than Callie though.
It's better that she joined the crew because she had, pew pew shooting people skills, and so I was like, hey, someone who's actually useful. And then like the first few episodes she was in, they didn't give her a gun, and they didn't actually give her a chance to shoot anybody.
Yeah, okay, two things. The next thing it said that I pretty much said both. Shot of the park Scorpio actually looks pretty good. I said that. And the crew finally recruited a useful ally in the form of Dr. Plaxton. And Barbara Shelley's putting in a decent performance too, given all the hideous things around her. Oh, she's dead. I'm like, I predicted it before it happened. I'm like, she's useful, therefore they have to kill her off. Because they can't have anybody who's not incompetent to continue as a character. Avon saying poo. Did he actually say poo?
I don't think so. I think the talking.
I think
No, he said who.
Yeah. And she escapes from the crew, but she bagsies the last seat. I don't know what that means.
What, Bagsies?
Yeah.
Oh, that's when you say...
I didn't finish reading that. Go back.
Oh, sorry. Where's Bagsies?
It says she bagsies the last seat on the flight deck.
Yeah, Bagsies is sort of when you say... I don't know what the American equivalent is. Dibs, I suppose it is.
It's not yours.
Right, I don't know where the Bagsies has gone.
Where's the Bagsies going?
What?
I can't see it there. I can't see Bagsies on the screen. Oh, there it is, right there.
Can you? How many fingers am I holding up?
I don't know. You're not on camera.
Exactly. A space cookie for you.
Yeah, because remember at the end it says, "What about Dr. Paxton?" And then Avon just turns to the camera and says, well, almost to the camera, and it goes, "Who?" And
Yeah, it reminded me of an episode of Robotech where the dude asked the girl, "How old are you?" and she says 2, and then they blow up in a fiery explosion. It was kind of like that. Except he said "who" instead of 2. What a close-up of his helmet. Yeah, there were some ridiculous lines in this episode. And yeah, like I don't know what they were thinking with replacing Zen with Slave. Like they should have just said, we were able to transfer the voice over to this new computer, and it's still Zen or whatever. They could even call him a different name, but the voice is just it's terrible.
I like Slave.
Well, that's fine. You've already established you're entitled to like whatever bad things you want to like.
Well, coming up before the end of the series is some fantastic dialogue between Slave and Aurak, where they have an argument.
I can't wait.
I think that's true about Michael Keaton dropping stuff. Yeah, Paul Dowd does seem to run in a very way. Right.
Space way?
Yeah. In a space weird way.
Okay, next space page.
Yep. That's like with the Batman where it said next that week, next Bat channel, all that kind of stuff. Right. And that's a very good point there about underground base.
See, I'm surprised they didn't say that they broke a record for spaceisms.
Well, maybe.
Space drive.
Well, maybe for the repetition of the same spaceisms.
Yeah. Because they just kept talking about space drives, space choppers, space rats.
Right. Right. I don't know if you like this.
Avon's technique for traversing hostile terrain is as follows. Stand semi-upright behind a handy bit of cover, do not duck down. Jog across open ground to the next bit of cover, do not duck down. Remain standing while your comrades catch up with you. Duck down when and only when you're in plain view of a security camera. Repeat as necessary until either your objective is achieved, the villain's dead, you're dead. Yeah, that's pretty good. Space good.
Right then, Jeff, what do you give the episode out of 10 and what do you give the book out of 10?
Well, it's trash, but it had its moments, of enjoyability, so I can't be too hard on it. I guess I go to 4.
Well, that's pretty high. Pretty high for you. I mean, you've given lower marks before. I think you've given.
I have. Yeah. I gave one episode a 1, so yeah, I've gone down pretty low.
I mean, you have complained in the past about stories not moving things on. Well, at least this story did move things on in terms of the fact that they now have a star drive.
Great for them to use to go where and do what?
Well, how about outrun Federation pursuit ships?
Yeah, and then what?
Well, no spoilers coming out of this mouth.
We'll find out, I guess.
So, what does Morgan give it out of 10?
He never gives ratings. He gives it a mission control laboratory out of 10.
Well, I think what he said was not trash but dumb, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
What about the maximum power guide entry for this episode?
I guess 5. Not one of the better ones, but it had a few amusing things in it.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm predicting things they're going to say, and usually the things I'm coming up with are better than what they actually say. So
I won't disagree with that.
Okay.
I would
disagree with it.
I'll put it along. I would say as good as.
I should have said I give this space out of 10. That's really what I should have said. What about you, Ben? What?
Well, I'll give this about a 7.
So what do you like about it?
Well, a lot of the points it gets are the fact that it is Blake 7 and it's got the particular characters in. So, off the bat, it gets points because of that.
Particular characters?
Well, Avon.
Okay, so just Avon's existence gives it a certain... What's the minimum score from Avon existing? How many points does he give it just for existing?
7.
7? Wow. So if that's the case, then this episode didn't have to offer anything else but Avon existing.
Well, unless the episode have a lot of points and a lot of plot holes and stuff, then it would maybe go down. Now, Animals is pretty... The only thing that's... I think... Is Animals the next one? Let's have a look. What can be said about Animals is it's got some good acting in it, but unfortunately, Jeff, this book refused to cover the next episode.
Do they say why?
Well, there's a little thing they put at the back in the index.
Does it spoil anything from the episode? If you...
Let's have a look. I'll have a look before. See if I can read it out.
We can wait until that review to read it if it does.
He put here, intentionally missed out of the episode guide, so take that smug grin off your face. That's what they wrote.
That's all it says.
That's all it says. And the next episode's called Animals, yeah.
All right, well, I will.
Yeah, and it put for number 1, creatures found across the universe, sometimes in zoos, sometimes not. Right then. So this book, in my opinion, came to the rescue a little bit. I don't know what we'd do without the book. Right.
Just yammer about like we usually do.
Yep.
Base yammer.
Well, it's usually the opposite situation where, like, when there's a homicide episode where there's not much wrong with it, I don't have much to say. Whereas I think I was a bit tired in the last homicide episode, and I was a little bit narky about that episode. But I think I mentioned the good and the bad in that. Anyway, so anything else to add, Jeff?
I don't think so.
Okay, so there were only 9 space episodes left.
Wow. All right. Well, space you next time.
And space you all too, folks.